This is CBC Vancouver News.
People are like getting buried in plastic bags, but he had the dignity of having the blanket that he slept in, and that was wrapped around him.
Mourning from a world away. A BC woman loses her husband and many of his relatives in the earthquakes in Turkey.
This was flawed from the beginning.
Vancouver City Council votes to scrap a fee on reusable cups.
They are littering streets. They're all over the place. So it's a problem we need to solve.
The intention and the challenges amid waste and costs.
There's another side to opportunities that could be available to people that look like me.
Plus, BC Black entrepreneurs compete for a big business prize.
That $25,000 will go straight into that barn and outfit it.
Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Last night, we showed you the tearful welcome Burnaby's urban search and rescue team received after working to save lives in earthquake-ravaged Turkey. More than 40,000 people have died there and in Syria. Tonight, we take you to the Kootenays, where a woman is mourning the death of her husband and dozens of his relatives. Corey Bullock has her story.
She is gone and she is gone.
Cheryl Forrest lives in Rossland with her 3 children. Her husband, Midrap Tash, was killed last week in Adıyaman, a city in southwestern Turkey, following catastrophic earthquakes. More than 20 members of their family also died after their 9-story apartment building collapsed.
I'm sad for everybody. I'm sick for the family. I just feel horrible. I don't know which one to mourn. You know, I'm always mourning them all.
Understandably devastated, the distance is compounding her loss. From 9,000 kilometers away, she watched over FaceTime as Tosh was buried.
Usually people come in a coffin, but there aren't enough coffins in Adıyaman because people are like getting buried in plastic bags. But he had the dignity of having the blanket that he slept in, and that was wrapped around him. And he was brought in the back of a pickup truck.
She remembers Tosh as a caring man.
He was a really loving father of all his children. He was a really kind of laid-back person, you know, chill. He always helped people. He would bend over backwards to help friends.
The couple was separated by distance, but Forrest says Tosh planned to move to Canada to be closer to his children. While they lived together in Turkey, she says Adıyaman was a community that welcomed her as a Westerner with open arms.
People were so kind. I would be struggling in those first few years to communicate something to people, and they would be thanking me for making the effort to learn their language.
And now it's Rossland rallying behind this grieving family. Forrest says she hopes to return to Turkey once it's safe.
I've told my children to process it how they need to. I think long term, no one's going to get over it. I don't know how people are going to handle it.
Forrest says there are still family members believed to be trapped under the rubble. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Rossland.
You can say goodbye to a small fee when you get a disposable cup in Vancouver. Eventually, tonight, City Council voted to scrap a 25-cent cost. The quarter charge came into effect just over a year ago. It was meant to reduce waste and get more people to use reusable cups. But retail and restaurant industry reps told council it was hard to administer. The ABC councillor who put forward the motion to scrap it argues the fees hurt low-income people. Those who voted to keep it say the city can only do so much to curb waste.
People are resigned to the fact that they pay a fee now for convenience. And that is not something that I want to be a part of as a government, because it is that red tape that we hear so often is making life harder and making businesses harder to get by.
If we had better tools, we could bring in better options. You know, if we had the ability to make sure that the fund was earmarked towards climate initiatives, great.
Staff will report back to council in June with options to end the fee. Still at City Hall, it has been 100 days since Ken Sim was sworn in as Vancouver's 41st mayor. In that time, while he's pursued many of his campaign promises, he's also pledged a renewed swagger for the city. Justin McElroy sat down with the mayor to discuss what that means and his accomplishments so far.
If you ask Vancouver's new mayor what he's done in his first 100 days, you'll get a straightforward answer.
A lot of the things that we wanted to get accomplished early, we've pushed through, and so that's been great.
And what it's like representing the city?
We're leaning in, and so we're going to every single event, which means it's 7 days a week, and it's great.
What about the plan to hire 100 new police officers?
We leave it up to the VPD to operationalize it, and they feel great about it.
And working with the health providers to meet the promise of hiring 100 new nurses?
The initial plan is 58 mental health workers, and they feel great about it.
Dealing with the province?
They've been great.
Vancouver is now Sim City. And sitting down with CBC News for his first in-depth interview since becoming mayor 100 days ago, it's clear Sim City is as much about policies as it is a vibe. Consider his answer on improving the Granville Strip.
It could be a great area where people, not only from Vancouver and the region, but from around the world, they come and they enjoy Vancouver, and it gives a buzz and a positive vibe to our city.
Or why he likes using the word swagger.
If we create an amazing city where there's a vibe and there's opportunity and there are places to live, people can afford to live, and they can actually have an amazing career.
Or his answer on when the city will have turned a corner on crime and safety concerns.
There's actually activity in Chinatown on a Saturday night. Now, is it where we would love it to be? Absolutely not, but there is activity. So things are changing. So we can point to stats, and we will look at the metrics, and we can actually, see what's happening, but it's really the feeling.
At this point, the feelings are enough. Progress is being made on 100 new cops and nurses, and the federal and provincial governments are giving money to ABC priorities like Chinatown and affordable housing.
I think the biggest pleasant surprise is how many people share the same goals and dreams, and it transcends political parties, socioeconomics, and the working relationships that we've had, with the provincial and federal governments and other stakeholders. It's been great.
Of course, Vancouver isn't great for many. It is so often a tale of two cities, something the mayor acknowledged.
There are two very different realities for people who live in the city, and it's becoming more and more polarized.
Oh yeah, no, that is a very big challenge. There are, there's a lot of disparity in our city, and that's not the city that I want to live in. But what I feel is, the feeling before was, our city was becoming more and more divided. And what I'm feeling now is our city is coming more and more together.
It's Sim's feeling on day 100. His challenge will be seeing the transformation he wants, so it stays that way on day 1,000. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
And to clarify, that interview was done with the CBC Radio's Stephen Quinn. Now, with all of that, it turns out Vancouver is not on track to hitting its climate targets. That's coming out of an update on the city's Climate Emergency Action Plan. One councillor notes part of the challenge comes from funding those projects.
There were a couple big moves in the Climate Emergency Action Plan that the last council and this council unfortunately didn't approve, and so we have a gap in being able to fund the actions that we need.
Boyle says the city will have to find new revenue sources to pay for initiatives like better transportation and building infrastructure. She's calling on Mayor Sim and City Council to prioritize the commitment to climate action. It was the worst January for home sales in Canada since 2009 and the financial crisis. They're down 37% compared with a year ago. A dip in BC's sales has contributed to that trend. Just over 3,000 residential units were sold last month in this province, down more than half from last year.
This is probably about the lowest we're going to see. I don't see sales staying at this level for that long. There will need to be some kind of catalyst to see, like interest rates coming down for us to see a much of an improvement. So I think we'll see sort of a steady improvement in sales month after month, and maybe in the second half things get a little bit more normal. We don't stay at these levels very long.
Home sales tumbled last year as rising mortgage rates increased the borrowing for Canadians and slowed the market. The BC Real Estate Association expects sales to remain steady for a good portion of the year, or until something changes, like a drop in interest rates. Almost a year after their contract expired, thousands of BC ambulance paramedics and dispatchers have now agreed to a new contract with a pay raise. More than 4,500 paramedics and dispatchers voted 96% in favor of the new 3-year deal that includes wage hikes of up to 13%. A new rural and remote service delivery plan is also in that deal. Paramedics and dispatchers have been stretched very thin during the pandemic, but their union hopes new training and recruiting will help. Syphilis cases are on the rise in BC, increasing by 35% in 2022 compared to the previous year. And the BC Centre for Disease Control says they've risen 13-fold in the last decade. Officials say they're also seeing changes in the population makeup of those cases. Historically, the STI has disproportionately affected men who have sex with other men. But staff say they're seeing a rise among women and men who have sex with women. One doctor says it's difficult to pinpoint reasons, but notes it could be because more people are getting tested.
We want people to be sort of taking responsibility for their health and getting tested and having healthy sex lives and a healthy approach to their sexual health. But on the other hand, you're going to find more infection.
Grennan is advising people to look out for symptoms such as sores and rashes. Still, syphilis can also show very subtle or no symptoms at all. He urges people to regularly get tested for STIs. Grennan says he's helping lead a study on an antibiotic to prevent syphilis to be taken before or after a sexual encounter. The provincial government says it is now expanding the logging deferral of old-growth forests in our province to 2.1 million hectares. It's also introducing a $25 million 8-point forest planning table that aims to improve old-growth management. The government says it will bring in alternatives to clear-cut logging like selective harvesting techniques. A warning to drivers to watch out for migrating snow geese. At least 23 birds have been killed in Richmond alone. Mounties got a call on Monday about the dead animals who they believe were run over by a car. Today, they received a report of a large flock of geese on the road, and when they arrived, they found 3 dead. They note many migratory birds return this time of year and can end up on our roads. A billboard in West Kelowna is criticizing the teaching of sexual orientation and gender inclusion in schools has now been taken down. The controversial billboard showed a masked character in front of a Progress Pride flag. It had a link to a website criticizing SOGI 123. That's a learning resource offered by the province. The billboard sparked concern from LGBTQ advocates. Now the billboard on Highway 97 is bare. The owner of the land the billboard sits on, the West Bank First Nation, asked the billboard company to take it down. Two people from BC are in the final round for a $25,000 grant contest for Black entrepreneurs. The CBC's Yasmin Khanea met with the founder to tell us how it hopes to take down barriers.
I just point the camera at the product, and a product card comes up.
Duress Askadam is working on an app which will give people information about cannabis products.
Common usage, any possible effects that may feel, flavor profiles, THC obviously, and CBD.
He says it's important for him to be in the cannabis space, which has disproportionately criminalized Black people.
I wanted people to see that there's another side to the industry. There's another side to opportunities that could be available to people that look like me.
He's one of 2 BC finalists for the Black Pitch Contest, a nationwide competition for the Black business community. And it's an opportunity for Black entrepreneurs to grow their businesses.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Jackie Cassandi is providing the competition through her nonprofit. She says it's removing barriers for Black businesses.
In our community, one of the biggest difficulties is access to funding.
Cassandi says the Black community faces obstacles such as poor credit scores and low home ownership rates. She says these factors make it hard for people to get a bank loan to kickstart their businesses.
Collateral, you need collateral. Majority in the Black community do not have collateral, and if you don't have collateral, you can't get funded.
Askadam says his race has also prevented him from getting investments from venture capitalists.
There's very few VCs, for example, of color in the Canadian landscape. And so it makes it difficult for entrepreneurs like myself to find the networks, the contacts to be able to access these rooms.
So right here, this is a little bit of a wheatgrass trial that I have going on.
Meanwhile, in Abbotsford, Wanda Dick, a 22-year-old vertical farmer, hopes the prize money can sprout his business, which he currently runs out of a spare room in his home.
And then I do have an opportunity to grow out a barn just outside of Yarrow. Once that barn is renovated for use, that $25,000 will go straight into that barn and outfit it and essentially make setups like these, but scale it up 10 and 20-fold.
Cassandra hopes to fundraise more money in the future to help more Black entrepreneurs.
My dream is we're able to give 5 to 10 businesses a year this amount of money.
Yasmin Raneya, CBC News, Vancouver.
These are all books that were going to be destroyed at the recycling depot.
After the break, meet a woman who has spent more than 2 decades giving unwanted books a new lease on life. Stick around for this story. And hello to everyone watching during our commercial-free live stream tonight. Thanks for being here. A family who spent months fleeing the war in Ukraine are finally in Canada after facing visa delays and getting separated from each other while seeking safety in the UK. They're now finally settling into their new apartment in Fredericton.
So I got into the refugee camp in Poland when the baby was just 5 days old. Even though the authorities, they tried to be there as much as they could, but I mean, they were not people that I was very familiar with. I had a 5-day-old baby with me in a room that had over 20 people plus pets, plus my newborn baby, and I'm like, okay. But then I was just hoping, okay, it was going to take 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then 1 month. I never had a projection that was going to take up to 5 months.
It was tough. It was very tough, my God. There were days, even as a man, that I cried. The goal was to finally be reunited as a family in the place of our dreams, in the place where we can call home.
So this place where we are, it's the UMB apartment for students. And when we got the keys and came in to see, it was empty. You have to bring in your own stuff. And Jenny, in 24 hours, everything you see in this place right now, and I say everything, couch, toys, table, chair, bed, beddings, everything. So it's just wow, what a community. It's not just the church, it's not just the people, everyone just, we're so united to, let's make these people comfortable.
Not only did you arrive to Fredericton, and that's a joyous moment of safety and peace in itself, but you arrived right before your birthday. Can you tell us your birthday?
Yes, my birthday is 25th December, Christmas Day. And trust me, the best gift I got was just to be with my husband and Ivan.
So we had hopes and dreams, right? Just when we started 2022, we had hoped that somehow we're making plans of relocating from Ukraine. And here we are today. We ended the year actually in Canada.
Yeah, the journey was tough, it was long, but I can say that we feel very fulfilled and so thankful.
Many people love a good book. That's especially true for Carol Jackson. She spent the past 2.5 decades finding new homes for unwanted books out of her garage in West Kelowna. That's where we found her.
So they're opened up at the date. So this one is 1882. It's just a book, but you can see how different the pages are and the lettering, the whole typeset, it can take you back to another time. I'm Carol Jackson, and I have what I call Adopt a Book. These are all books that were going to be destroyed at the recycling depot. So people just walk into the garage and take as much as they want. It started when I was at the recycling depot down on Springfield, and somebody put a bunch of books into a compactor and they pressed a button and crunched them. And that offended me so much. I went, what is going on here? And the button presser said, oh, this goes on all day, every day. So I got permission and put together a fairly large shed down at Springfield Recycling Center. And that shed was just unbelievably full of fantastic books. As I started bringing these books back, and even when I was there, people would be taking their recycling and I'd be putting all these things and loading them into my van, and they'd go, oh, look at that. And I go, yeah, look at it, take it, you know? And so it would always be a point of excitement. These are all signed by the author. From the very word go, it was, wow, you know, I'm going to set something up in my garage. And I had just moved into this house, and I happened to have a bunch of milk crates. So I made double door milk crates, and so it was just wall to wall. And it was so fun organizing them, and as I was doing it, people were coming down the driveway with their kids, and so it became such a lifestyle where I met friends, and it was really terrific. You know, there's a couple of types of people. 95% will take maybe this many. But that 5% would just go nuts and just take anything and everything. Wouldn't even look at the title. It was just free. I figured, well, you know, what the heck? I've got lots if they can use them or whatever, as long as they're not going to get destroyed. So that's how it all started 25 years ago. And there's been an awful lot of books that have come and gone, and people have been appreciating them, and just, it's been a wonderful thing.
There's a live shot of Cambie Street in City Hall. A pleasant enough South Coast day, but we are expecting some showers to return. Johanna will explain in her BC-wide forecast right after this.
Gladstone High, our hearts are proud and true, row. Hail the school that we all love, Gladstone will strive for you, rah.
Things haven't really changed since last time, right? Because everything's just the same.
What do you mean last time? Like when I was a kid?
Last time, yeah, well, like before, like everything, nothing's changed. Like everything is just the same.
You won't laugh. I like to go on bicycle trips, too. Do you?
And miniature golf. Do you like that?
Yeah, and weenie roasts and square dances.
He let me down easy, and he doesn't have time. He's really busy and graduating in his career. So it just ended.
Did he give you a ring or anything like that?
No, wasn't long enough.
Through cloud and sunshine, storm and strife, our motto still shines bright.
Why do they call this a promise ring? Where does that come from?
Promise to stay together and be faithful and be honest.
And what does it mean for you?
Probably the same. Yeah, all that stuff togetherness, love.
I'll call you next week.
Will you? Well, thanks so much. I have no surprise.
He broke up because he thought the relationship was too intense.
What about you?
I don't really know. I haven't experienced it.
No?
Like, not totally.
Our hearts are proud and true of row. Hail the school that we all love.
Did you find true love at Gladstone High?
Myself? Not myself, but my husband did come here, but we didn't know each other at the time. But he was in another year, and later on we met, and that was true love.
And do you remember, did he give you a ring or anything like that? No? No ring?
There was gifts at Christmas and birthdays, but there was no rings or things like that.
Did he ever say the magic words to you?
I don't remember.
You don't? And I want you to tell me what true love was like when you were in high school.
I was so doggone shy, I didn't know when I was in high school.
Is it true love?
I think so, and so does she. And we're best friends, practically. I'd do anything for her.
I think they have not just about love, but just about life in general. I think they have quite a romantic notion about how wonderful life's going to be.
And of course, you were very different when you were a young girl in high school, weren't you?
No.
Through cloud and sunshine, storm and strife, our motto still shines bright. Down through life's way, you'll hear us say, victory for red and white.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
On March 8th, celebrate International Women's Day with Gloria Makarenko at the West Coast Leafs Equality Breakfast. Get your tickets at westcoastleaf.org. And dance away the winter blues with Corleone at Pop Capella 3 on March 3rd and 4th. Backed by a band of Vancouver's best, the Corleone Ensemble will take on your favorite hits. Tickets at corleone.org.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Time for our BC-wide weather picture with meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe on a bit of a respite from all that rain.
Yes, it was nice to see the blue sky this morning.
It is still blue, isn't it?
It is still blue under there. Yeah.
Okay, when you're there, that's right. When you look up.
In case anyone was worried.
Very good.
Still blue.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to make a note of that.
Exactly.
Thanks.
That is one of the three things we know for sure, and that continues to remain true.
Tell us the other two later.
Yeah, I'll save that. We do have some warnings to talk about, including winter storm warning for Kitimat and Stewart, up to 30 centimeters by tomorrow morning. I know you've been seeing that snow through the evening. And snowfall warnings as that same system pushes eastward up towards Highway 97, Pine Pass, Williston, and then down towards North Columbia, 15 to 20 centimeters, really ramping up tomorrow morning. And special weather statement for Vernon and Golden for dust advisory with some sinking air in your neck of the woods. This is the system that's bringing that snow first to the coast and pushing inland, and it's the system that will bring the rain tomorrow afternoon to Metro Vancouver. So taking you through Thursday, it's right around the 4 p.m. hour, possibly a little earlier that the showers will fill in for us. It is bringing a shot of snow tomorrow night to the southern interior. We get a bit of a break Friday, and then another system moves in for Saturday and another one for the weekend, but at least we get a bit of a sunny break before we head in there full force. Lots of snow accumulating with this latest system. Looking to see totals close to 60 centimeters for our coastal mountains and more like 30 to 40 for the Rockies. I just wanted to show you the contrast. So yes, we get a lot of snow in our mountains. Big snowfall on the other coast of the country yesterday. Newfoundland digging out of 40 centimeters. I always like to check in on the other coast once in a while. Temperatures are a little cooler over the next couple of days. There's our clearing for Friday. It is looking like a showery weekend before we get back to some sun on Monday. And Dan said there might be one more. Those are snowflakes Tuesday, Wednesday, so I'll keep you posted.
That's why you added those. Not just some sort of whimsy.
I didn't put them there because they look good. I'll tell you that.
Darn tootin'. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
That's your late news for this Wednesday. Thank you for joining us tonight. For news anytime, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Good night.